The maintenance bay of the Celestial Dawn hummed with the familiar sound of plasma conduits cycling through their daily diagnostics. Helen wiped grease from his weathered hands, his human fingers surprisingly gentle despite decades of wrestling with stubborn machinery. At 47, he had seen more star systems than most explorers, but always from the belly of ships, never from their observation decks. Another day, another broken hyperdrive, he muttered, pulling himself out from under the massive engine. Housing. The Zephyrian crew barely acknowledged his presence, typical for most alien species who viewed humans as useful but unremarkable. Their empire stretched across 3 galaxy arms, while humanity had only just figured out faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. The ship shuddered as they dropped out of hyperspace near the capital world of Zephyros Prime. Through the small porthole in the maintenance bay, Helen caught a glimpse of the magnificent crystal spires that stretched into the planet's purple sky. Somewhere in those towers lived Empress Elsa, the youngest ruler in Zephyrian history and reportedly the loneliest being in the known galaxy. Captain Vorth's voice crackled through the comm system. "All crew to stations. We're transporting her, Imperial Majesty, to the Outer Rim colonies for the Unity ceremony." Helen had heard whispers about the Empress. At barely 300 years old, practically an infant by Zephyrian standards, she had inherited the throne when her parents died. In a mysterious plague that swept through the royal family, the surviving court officials kept her isolated, claiming it was for her protection, but rumors suggested something more sinister. An hour later, the Empress boarded with her entourage of advisors and guards. Helen was performing routine maintenance in the corridor when she passed by, her crystalline skin shimmering with an inner light that marked her royal bloodline. But something was wrong. Where other Zephyrians glowed with steady, vibrant hues, the Empress's light flickered erratically, and there were patches of dullness near her temples. The sight triggered memories Helen had tried to bury. His daughter, Sarah, back on Earth, had exhibited similar symptoms during her battle with neural degradation syndrome. The way Elsa's shoulders drooped, the slight tremor in her hands, the unfocused gaze, it was all heartbreakingly familiar. But what struck Helen most was how no one else seemed to notice. The royal advisors chatted amongst themselves, the guards stood at attention, and the ship's medical officer, a renowned Zephyrian physician, showed no concern whatsoever. Either they were blind, or they simply didn't care. Over the following days, Helen observed the Empress during his work shifts. She rarely left her quarters, and when she did, she moved with the careful precision of someone fighting constant fatigue. Her crystalline skin grew progressively duller, and the tremors in her hands became more pronounced. Most damning of all, Helen noticed her advisors exchanging knowing glances whenever she stumbled over her words during official communications. The realization hit him like a plasma burst to the chest. They weren't protecting her. They were letting her die. A convenient accident that would leave the Empire in their capable hands. That night, Helen did something that could cost him his life. He accessed the ship's medical database using his maintenance credentials and cross-referenced Zephyrian physiology with human neural conditions. The similarities were striking. What humans called neural degradation syndrome manifested almost identically in Zephyrians, but their medical establishment classified it as royal exhaustion, a supposedly incurable condition that affected only the imperial bloodline. It wasn't incurable. Helen's daughter was proof of that. The treatment was complex but manageable with the right medications and therapy. Sarah now lived a full life, her condition completely controlled. The next morning, Helen waited outside the Empress's quarters, his heart hammering against his ribs. When she emerged for her daily walk, flanked by distracted guards, he stepped forward. "Your Majesty," he said, dropping to one knee as protocol demanded. "I'm Helen, the ship's maintenance chief. I need to speak with you about your health." The guards moved to intervene, but Empress Elsa raised a trembling hand. "Let him speak," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've seen your symptoms before, Your Majesty. My daughter had the same condition. It's not royal exhaustion. It's a treatable neurological disorder. Your advisors know this." The Empress stared at him with wide, luminous eyes. That's... Impossible. The royal physicians have assured me. With respect, Your Majesty, they're lying to you. I can prove it. Helen produced a small datapad containing his research. These are comparative scans and treatment protocols. Your condition is identical to what we call neural degradation syndrome in humans. It's completely manageable with proper care. For a moment, the Empress was silent. Then something flickered in her expression. Not her failing bioluminescence, but a spark of hope long extinguished. Why would they lie to me? She asked. Because a sick, isolated Empress is easier to control than a healthy one, who might ask difficult questions about how her parents really died. The implications hung in the air like a plasma storm. The Empress straightened, and for the first time since boarding, her skin flared with brilliant light. What do you need to help me? She asked. The treatment began immediately, conducted in secret within Helen's maintenance bay. Using synthesized compounds based on human medications and adapted for Zephyrian physiology, they started the long process of neural rehabilitation. Helen's experience as both a father and a mechanic proved invaluable. He understood both the delicate patience required for healing and the systematic approach needed to repair complex systems. Within weeks, the Empress's condition improved dramatically. Her skin regained its radiant glow, the tremors disappeared, and her mental clarity returned. More importantly, she began to see her quartz manipulations with unclouded eyes. The Unity ceremony became something entirely different than planned. Instead of a frail, manipulated puppet, Empress Elsa arrived as a force of nature. She dismissed the treacherous advisors, reorganized her government, and instituted medical reforms that would prevent such deceptions in the future. But her most significant act was establishing the Helen Protocol, a galaxy-wide medical exchange program that paired human physicians with alien medical institutions. What the Zephyrian Empire had dismissed as primitive human medicine proved revolutionary when applied to previously incurable alien conditions. Standing in the palace's crystal gardens months later, Empress Elsa watched Helen prepare for his journey home to Earth. She had offered him wealth, titles, even a permanent position as her personal advisor, but he had declined them all. "Why won't you stay?" she asked. "You saved not just my life, but my entire empire." Helen smiled, thinking of his daughter Sarah, now working as a neural rehabilitation specialist. "Because, Your Majesty, the greatest thing about humans isn't that we're special. It's that we see problems as puzzles to solve, not fates to accept. And that's something you can't learn by staying in one place. You have to carry it with you." As his transport lifted off from Zephyros Prime, Helen looked back at the crystal spires one last time. Somewhere in those towers, a young Empress was learning to rule not as a victim of circumstances, but as the master of her own destiny. And throughout the galaxy, the Helen Protocol was spreading, carrying with it the most human trait of all, the stubborn refusal to let the fixable remain broken. The maintenance bay of his new ship awaited, and with it whatever challenges the universe might present. After all, to a human mechanic, everything was just a machine that hadn't been properly understood yet.